Hello YouTube, my name is Amisbro. For this video we are doing a game review, and this time around we are doing the game Virtue's Last Reward. Sound familiar? Well, it's going to in a second. Virtue's Last Reward is the follow-up game to what was one of my favorite games on the Nintendo DS. You will recall, those of you who have been around the channel long enough, that I did a game review for 999. 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. Well, this is the sequel to it, as this is literally, as it says on the cover, and you wouldn't be able to see it, unfortunately, Zero Escape Volume 2. Volume 1, of course, being 999. So, what is the story behind this game? Well, 9 individuals got kidnapped and thrown into a room, and their goal is to try and figure out how to get out. Now, if that sounds familiar, it is. It's essentially what the story was behind 999. Here it's a little bit different though. I'll explain. In Virtue's Last Reward, the player controls the main character named Sigma. And in his case, on Christmas night, 2028, I want to say, he was on his way home from college when he got gassed by a mysterious individual wearing a gas mask. This sounds a little bit familiar. You may remember an individual much like that man was involved in the original game. Well, he gets gassed and thrown into an elevator, or what we believe to be an elevator, with another individual, and is told on a computer screen later that if he cannot escape it with this individual, they will both die. So this brings us to the first escape. There are about 18 rooms that the player must escape from, and they range in difficulty. Obviously, the last room is the most difficult. It is, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10 out of 10. Now, how do we get out of the room, you might ask? Well, the same way you would do it if you're playing 999. Here's the difference. In this game, there's always 2 solutions to certain problems. What do I mean? Well, in every room is a safe, but the safe has more than 1 password. When you fulfill certain conditions on a puzzle, you can either get the screen to turn green or turn blue. If the screen turns green, you get the escape password. That is the password that you would punch in to the safe to get your key to get out of the room. But if you fulfill a certain condition for one of the puzzles, because at least one puzzle in every room has 2 solutions. If you can figure out that second solution, well, congratulations, because you're gonna get a special item. And these items are actually crucial. Why? Here's why. In the game, obviously I mentioned that you can get a key to escape the room. You can also get some other goodies, which we'll talk about in a minute. But if you can find the secret password in the game, what happens is you will get a special item, which will be a file if you're playing on hard mode. I'll explain that also in a second. The files are important because for every file you get, and there's more than just the ones in the save, you move one step closer to a very big trophy. I believe it's called the Consummate Collector, and that's if you can find every file. And there's one that's easily missable, and I actually did. I had to go back and get it before I completed the game. You can go back and get it any time, but I wanted to make sure I got it before I actually finished up. So, one of the files, or one of the goodies you can get if you do the secret password, is a gold file. But to get it, here's what you gotta do. You have to play the game on the hardest difficulty. This is also how you get one of the trophies, which is escaping on the hard difficulty. I forget what it's actually called. But that's where it can get a little tricky because, like I said, the rooms do go up in difficulty, and this game requires you to use the lovely touchscreen, which is a bigger bitch than you actually realize, because the touchscreen can be really sensitive to where you're pushing, and sometimes the directions on what you have to do for a solution, because there are articles that you'll pick up that will actually give you the solution to the puzzle. But when you look at it, it's not really self-explanatory, so you're kind of looking at it like, huh? Especially if you're doing one puzzle, which comes up later, which is a dice puzzle. Because, like I said, there's two solutions, but one of them's really, really wacky. And you need that for the secret code. I had to look up somebody's playthrough to actually figure out how to do it, because I kept doing it, and they kept saying that the pip placement didn't matter, but apparently it did. Interesting. So, I need to explain the Ambidex game here. And the Ambidex game, or AB for short, is what you call the prisoner's dilemma. Here's the idea. In the game, there is one numbered door. It is called the number 9 door. Now, if that sounds familiar, again, 999. The difference this time, however, is this. Every person in the game, every player in the game, wears a bracelet. The bracelet starts at a base 3 points and can go up or down accordingly depending on the outcome of the AB game, or ally or betray in this case, because we play Prisoner's Dilemma. Here's what happens. If both parties in the team, and by the way, and I should mention this, on every team there's a solo and a pair. They both go into separate rooms. What they vote versus what their opponent votes determines the point play out. Let's say, for the sake of discussion, both chose ally. They both earn 2 points. If one chooses betray and the other chooses ally, the betrayer gets 3 points, the ally loses 2. And if both choose betray, then nobody gets a goddamn thing. They get squat. This is actually very important because, like I said, the first person to 9 is allowed, if they so choose, to walk out the door, and it only opens once. So that person opens the door, they walk out it, then everybody else that doesn't have the points, they're screwed. I should also mention this. the cards you're using when you're playing for the AB games have 3 different symbols. Round 1 is moon. Round 2 is a star. Round 3 is a sun. The maximum number of games you will play is 3. The least number is 2. Now here's where this game gets kind of interesting and also kind of stupid. The game has 22 different endings. I say 22. There's 20 regular endings, and then there's 2 hidden ones. One you get if you just escape all the rooms, and the other one is if you escape them all on the hardest difficulty. So anybody that tells you they got all the endings, they really didn't. Because there's 2 that are hidden. Now, I should mention this real quick. Say you just escaped the room on the easiest difficulty, you can go back and play the rooms on hard, because the game will, as long as you don't delete your game data, the game saves your archives. So if you have the secret passwords, you can just go in and punch in all those, and you'll get those files. And if you've missed any archives, just pick up whatever ones you missed. So there's that. Let me think here. Okay. When I talk about the endings, and I told you there's 22. Some of them are really fucking stupid, though, and I'll explain why. The objective is to get out. And obviously some people are going to try and betray you or betray each other to get the most points to get the hell out of the room quicker. Well, here's the weirdest thing. And this was like so goddamn funny when you look at the way the endings play out for the most part. There's a few endings where you do get 9 points, I'll tell you that now, because you betrayed somebody. Everybody else gets hot at you because you got the 9 points for betraying them. So when you get the opportunity to go out the door in those endings, you can't. I wonder why. Now, it does eventually bear itself out once you get towards the end of the game and closer to the true ending, but still, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I get it, especially when the ending's not for the lead character per se, but still. It's kind of like, what was the point of having that kind of an ending to the game if you know in the end you're going to F the player? Like, seriously. I get what the game was trying to do, but there were a couple of those endings that literally I was saying at the game, these don't make any goddamn sense. Not that some of the actual character endings are any better, though, because some of them take forever. I swear to you. Like, you read through some of them, and you're going, alright. And you're reading, but by the time you get to like the 4th or 5th page of dialogue, some of them, I swear to God, I feel like there's like 20. It's like, you're just like, alright. Because you just want to see the end credits so you can get your trophy popped. And by the way, for those who don't know, my first platinum's right here. So it's like you're sitting there, you're playing the fucking game, and you're just, you're trying to enjoy it, but sometimes you also just want to get on with it. Especially when you're going to do the escape rooms because you just want to play the fucking game and try and enjoy the endings you got. Or try to figure out how to get out of the room. And sometimes you don't want it to take forever. Now I understand that when it comes to visual novel games, this is commonplace. I dig that. But at least with 999, it was easier to speed through it because all you had to do was hit right on the D-pad and it just goes. In this game, it was weird because what they did with the D-pad was they made you certain things. The only button you're ever really going to give a shit about using is the down button because that shows you your flow chart. But here's where it gets nuts. On the flow chart, it'll show you that if you're in a novel section because it'll have a book symbol. But sometimes you'll think you're in another novel section and you're in basically the same one because it takes 20-30 minutes to get it done. Like, holy shit, I was getting ready to scream. Like, they seriously need to work on that. Because if there's going to be a third game, not everybody wants to sit there for 20 to 30 minutes listening to somebody wax poetic. They just want to get to the next escapes in the game. That's it. Like, I don't mind reading some of that because some of it was actually pretty cool and some of it was actually tear-jerking. But by the time you get, close to the end of the whole enchilada, you just want to be done. And like, the 2 or 3, what was it? The 2 or 3 bonus things they do when you're getting ready to end the game. They're short, they're all novel things. But even they drug out to the point where it's like, really? Now, I'm going to say this also. This is supposed to be a game about escaping. This is supposed to be a game pretty much where it's life and death. That's it. Nothing else to it. When you start adding other bullshit into the game to make it sound like it's Quantum fucking Leap, that's a problem. Because, I'll go ahead and tell you, one of the things is in the game, and I usually don't do this, but whatever, one of the big storylines in the game is 2 of the characters in there, the actual 2 main characters on the front cover here, had the ability to hop between different universes and histories. So when they make a decision, their opponent in the AB game might make one that is, well, different than they would make in another history. And they jump literally all over the goddamn place. And this is actually played out because in one, you pick you can pick one choice and the person will pick the other one, and then when you do the second time around with that same person, they may flip it on you. So it's so wacky and so weird how they do it, but it's because of the whole quote alternate universe thing they got going on that makes it so wacky and so bizarre. Also, this game does pull the old bullshit of, we want you to see most of the shit endings first, then we'll let you see the good endings. In interest of full disclosure, I have played some adult visual novel games. However, they don't block off the good endings before I see the shit endings. I actually, for one game, did it backwards. Where I was getting all the, quote, good endings first, and then worked my way down to the endings. And there was like 26 in that game. But when you make the player have to sit there through BS after BS ending after BS ending, that's a problem. Especially when you get characters like Clover, who I forgot. I didn't realize this. Clover, or I actually forgot it. Clover was in the first game, and apparently two other big characters from the first game are in this game under different names now. I won't tell you who they are, but they're in there. This game, to me, is a good game. Is it better than the first one? No. Here's the big reason why. The first game, you felt like there was a sense of panic. Okay? The first game, you didn't also have to worry about what the other players really did, because in a sense, you're all working for the common goal to get out that door together. That's the point. This game, it was who can you trust and who can't you trust. And that happened a lot more than it needed to in the long run. And because of that, I don't know if I could really recommend this game, for the simple fact that there's so much going on with different characters and universe and quantum leaps and this and that and everything else, that by the time you get to the end, you just want it over. I only pushed through all the way because I wanted to get the platinum trophy, and I did it. If you find the game, you can take this review as maybe a buyer's beware, because it is a good game, but there's a lot of flaws to it. I don't have as big an issue with the puzzles as I did some of the things involving the actual story and some of the characters and the pacing of the story. That drove me crazy. But in the end, this game is not the successor to 999 that I was kind of hoping it was going to be. Now, maybe if I get another certain time travel game called Steins Gate in the near future, maybe that one will be better than 999. But we will have to wait and see, because that day is coming. I just don't know when. Anywho, you all have a great night, and I will talk to you all later today, because Destruction in Osaka for New Japan is coming up. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.